damn delay. Are we live finally? Okay. Live YouTube, live faceplant. Okay, good. I'll probably be the only one here today because everybody is out picnicking. From station WDWL TV, with great anticipation, we bring you the pride of the station, the grumpy old man, and assholes still being punished. So there'll be no obligatory bow. So, happy Memorial Day, everybody. How we doing? Roll call. Kathy, Linda. Okay, show's over. That's it. See you, bye. I got something that's going to irritate Kathy. Yeah. Hey, Jenny. Happy Memorial Day. How are ya? Hey, Ron, how are ya? How are ya? How are ya? We're going to have a little trivia later, but no fair gargling. I want to see how well your memory banks are. You want to see what I got, Kathy? I guess you don't want to see what I got. Okay. No problem. Ow, 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 ow. Okay. Here we go. The 24 ounce, and I got the last two 24 ounces. Oh, oh, oh. I'm gonna be in heaven later on when I break out the chips. The 24 ounce, the big one. They never made them this big back in our day. They made them the size of cottage cheese containers, but not. Oh, oh, oh. And I got the last two the store had. The girl told me, and I believe it, they tripled the order of each size, and those were the last two left. She said this stuff during holiday time, it flies out of that cooler. And I believe it because I've gone in that store many times and none. They get their delivery at 4 o'clock on Friday. And there's people waiting. She told me there were people that actually placed orders. Now, in Cleveland, it's 62 degrees. I don't see too many people in my neighborhood picnicking. Lawson's Chip Dip, they cannot keep it in that store. And the girl was telling me, when they put, as soon as it comes in at 4 o'clock, they're ready to put it up on the shelf. Usually by noon on Saturday, it's gone. She said for Memorial Weekend, they tripled the order. People were placing orders so that they would have Chip Dip. And me, I walk in the store at 3 o'clock today and got the last 2 that were in the store. I really lucked out because I was thinking, oh, there ain't going to be any at all. Best Chip Dip on earth. And Kathy will agree because Kathy has had it. And it's amazing, well, Lawson's Chip Dip has always been an Ohio thing. And I don't know, they could ship it to other Circle K's. I guess they just like keeping it in Ohio. Used to put it on a ham sandwich. Oh my God. I never thought of putting it on a sandwich. I've used it, anything that called for sour cream. I use, like, it's best on a baked potato. I've put it in stroganoff. I've even put it in chicken paprikash. I never thought of putting it. Oh, I'm going to have to try that. I guess I'll be going up this week to get some nice baked ham. Get me a fresh loaf of Jewish rye and give that a try. Well, that sounds tasty. The one thing I never thought of doing was putting it on a sandwich. You give me another use for Lawson's Chip Dip. I'm going to try it. I'm going to go. As a matter of fact, after my doctor's appointment, I'm going to run up and get some baked ham and some Swiss cheese, nice fresh loaf of rye bread, and then for dinner tomorrow, it's going to be ham and Swiss and Lawson's Chip Dip sandwich. Well, the girl was telling me a normal order. Now, it comes in 3 sizes. It comes in like a small, like a sour cream container. And then it comes in a size, about the size of a cottage cheese container. And then this big one. She said a normal order is 20 of each size. Now, to me, 60 containers don't sound like it's going to go a long way. But that's their normal order. 20 small, 20 medium, 20 large. They tripled it for this weekend. And 3 o'clock, I got the last 2. Now, this is not the only Circle K in the area here. It's just this store. But you got to remember, most of the younger generation just look at that as chip dip. No big deal. We look at it as an item from our childhood that still to this day tastes identical as it did when I was young. The one thing they did when they bought the plant, they didn't cheapen the chip dip. All I know is I got lucky. As a matter of fact, I opened the cooler in the back. And as I opened the door and saw the empty shelf, I went, "Oh, shit!" And there were only like 3 people in the store. And the girl at the cash register said, "What's wrong, sir?" I said, "I knew you'd be out of chip dip." She said, "Well, we have some in the front cooler here." I ran up to that front cooler. I left flames off my shoes. And she goes, "If you were looking for a small one, that's all we got left." I said, "I'm taking them both." So now that I know that the order comes in Friday at 4 o'clock, I will be up at Circle K waiting. I'll even help them unbox it. But like I say, the younger generation, unless they grew up on it, they see it as just, oh, it's chip dip. People like me and Kathy, we see it as going back in our childhood. Something that we look forward to and enjoyed. That a lot of stuff isn't around anymore from our childhood. I've never had clam dip. And I love clams. That sounds tasty. I've loved clams since I was young. Matter of fact, every year I used to do a couple of clam bakes. Until somebody stole my clam steamer. Although it wouldn't do me any good now. I'm trying to think. how many dozen clams I was able to put in my clam steamer. Because I had a triple decker. The first level was chicken, corn, sweet potato, and then the upper two levels were clams. I'm trying to think how many dozen clams each. Well, how many dozen clams? Because I would have to place my order a couple weeks in advance. 10, 20 dozen. When I do a clam bake, I had 20 dozen clams, and then the chicken and the corn and the potatoes, and then the bottom layer was clam broth. Oh, that's an easy recipe. That's real easy. I guess I'll be picking up some cans of clams along with my baked ham. Yeah, doesn't that sound good, Kathy? And Linda? I think we'll all be making clam dip here soon. That's it's easy and it sounds very tasty. I'm going to try it. I am going to try it. I've never had, never. As a matter of fact, any parties I ever went to, nobody ever had clam dip. Man, I wish I would have, I know clam dip just didn't happen recently, but back when I was doing a clam bake, that would have been great. Have somebody dice up some clams, mix it right there at the table, maybe a dash or two of Tabasco. That's me. I would put a dash or two of Tabasco in it. But now that I know how easy it is to make, worth a try. Worth a try. About an hour ago, I had a huge smile on my face. I've mentioned my OCD neighbor across the street. Well, I've been ignoring my lawn. An hour ago, my free lawn service come across the street and cut my grass. I knew it would piss him off. I was going to cut it tomorrow. But see, when I cut mine about 2¼ inches. Because like right now, you will see brown patches. I have a different grass than the other neighbors around me. It looks better long. He don't like it that way. So I told him, anytime you want, help yourself. Saves wear and tear on my lawnmower. Well, see, Ron, I was lucky. My grandmother taught me how to cook. Because my mother couldn't cook for shit. She burned boiling water. Yeah, Linda, he come over today and cut the grass. I guess he got tired of looking at it. But see, he don't like it long. And I keep telling him, take a look at my grass versus yours. It's a different grass. That's okay. Fine with me. Don't cost me nothing. I just wish he would edge it every now and then. Yeah, don't push it, Grumpy. Yeah, when my mother would bake things, she used the smoke alarm as a timer. When the smoke alarm went off, food's done. But anytime I was with, my grandparents, I would be right next to my grandmother watching her cook. I just wish I would have written down the recipes because there's so much that she made that I can't remember how to make it. I think I might have found a recipe for her, what she called summer squash. She would take yellow and green zucchini and do it in a cream sauce. And then just before serving, she would add in dill, or she would add in sour cream. And she made this, what she called summer squash, with, it was a cream sauce with dill. Oh, it was to die for. I think I found a recipe. I'm going to give it a go. Because I could eat that stuff by the bucketful. I just wish I still had my old crock. I would love to make another batch of garlic dill pickles. But I don't eat that stuff that much anymore. I have pickles up the ass. Did you see the news with Kim Jong-un launching his latest warship? Oh my God, you talk about an embarrassment. Holy shit. Him and his daughter, they're up there. They're sitting up in the grandstand, and the commander of the Navy, he takes an axe and he cuts the line. The ship is on a side launch. It slides down, stops, because the dollies that it was on jammed. It crushed the hull of the ship. The ship fell over and sank. Hilarious. Now he's saying a big conspiracy. I can see several people probably getting, eradicated because he has a bad habit, especially like when he dragged his uncle out of that big formal Congress session, I'll call it, took him out back and had him shot. Yeah, the ship. As a matter of fact, everybody's been saying you don't side launch big warships. It slid down. It stopped, and the inertia against the sleds that it's on crushed the hull of the ship. Then it fell over and sank. Oh, was he embarrassed? Holy shit. And the amazing thing is, they actually released the video. Yeah, multi-million-dollar warship. Oops. Oh well. Shit happens. And boy, his daughter Chunky. She looks just like him. She was chunky as a little kid. Now she's He looks like one of those Weeble Wobbles. Yeah, the big launch. They're trying to figure out how to float it. So they can. He actually says they're going to rebuild it. Big day for North Korea. Oh. I found something interesting this morning. And I have been watching a show from my childhood. And the first program, they tested doing colorization. It was amazing. All 62 shows are available for free. And I watched about 10 of them. And boy, did it bring back memories of being 5, 6 years old. Now we're going to test memories, although you're all younger than me. And no fair gargling. The star was Kirby Grant. Everybody's going, what? It was a kid show. Well, it wasn't kid show. It was like Roy Rogers. but he had a different kind of horse. And the star was Kirby Grant. I got you stumped. But like I say, everybody here's younger than me, so probably not a show that you would have watched. Do we all give up? No. Kirby Grant was not the star of Mr. Ed. Like I say, it's a program you probably never saw. Sky King. Does that ring any bells? And he had a huge ranch. So he flew a plane. And besides using the plane to survey his ranch, he also fought a little crime. And his young crime fighters were his niece and nephew, Penny and Clipper. And he flew a twin-engine Cessna 310 by the name of Songbird. I was reliving my childhood watching Sky King. He came on after Roy Rogers. So I would get home from school, watch Roy Rogers, and then Sky King. And it surprised me that all 62 shows are free on YouTube. So I watched 5 of the 62, and I will be binge watching the rest, bringing back memories of my childhood. I thought that was kind of cool, accidentally coming across that on Memorial Day, although that has nothing to do with Memorial Day, but as far as memories, oh. And then today my sister sent me the obligatory picture of my father's headstone all cleaned off. Because every Memorial Day, she goes out and weed whacks and scrubs the headstone and puts flowers and all kinds of stuff. Hard to believe he passed in 1988. He was 66. And my mother lived to 98. A horse is a horse, of course, of course. I used to know it. That's all I know. Oh, Wilbur! Yeah. She drove up until 94, and then finally she had to admit she couldn't see that well anymore. And she probably would have been around still had she not caught that virus, which was her own damn fault. They had some kind of outing for the seniors because she lived in a senior apartment complex. She actually had her own apartment and not assisted living. And they had some sort of outing, and my sister told her, "Don't go." Well, she went. And even though she was all masked up and everything, she ended up with the virus. And about a week and a half later, they shut the machine off. Because she was not responding and she was going into organ failure. And it just goes to prove one thing. When you're a mean, rotten SOB, the meaner you are, the longer you live. Of course, her and I didn't speak for 30 some years, so how far away is that, Linda? Is it a good distance, or you weren't up 100%? Because I know you've been going through some hell. Now, when my sister decides to drive out to the cemetery where my grandparents are, then I go with her. Those are two graves that I'll take my weed whacker, and because the cemetery, they don't, they just run a lawnmower. I wouldn't mind being 90, 95, 96 if I could still function and drive. But being that old and having to call on somebody to take you around, not for me. Well, an hour one way, an hour back, that's 2 hours. But are you feeling up 100%? Because I could understand, if you're not fully 100% up for a trip, not to push it. Like grandma's granddaughter. I'm healed. Oh, no, I'm not. But she was healed enough to graduate. That's the best part. That was the best part. Walking across the stage. Oh, I forgot my diploma. I'll bring it tomorrow. Who wants to see it? I look at it every now and then. I'm like, oh. It's interesting how many of my classmates don't have their. I'm like, why wouldn't you keep it? Oh, jeez. That's fucking embarrassing. Drove right past the goddamn entrance to the cemetery. Oh, oy vey. Now that's embarrassing. Oh. I see your point, Linda. That's understandable. I could see my sister. She probably went by herself. Mainly because she knows I'm not big on going to that cemetery. And over the years, I have told her why. See, my little sister got spoiled rotten. And I don't think my father ever reprimanded her. So she didn't see the side that, my side, what I went through. Because I think by the time she was born, my father realized, oh, gee, I beat the shit out of my first kid, and I wasn't that great with my second one. I'll go overboard with the third one. Christ, I remember he bought her a Buick Regal. And she had it about 2 weeks and she didn't like it. She wanted what the hell was that goddamn thing? It was a Chevy Super Sport. I can't remember. Yeah, she wanted the Regal. She wanted the Regal. She wanted the Regal. My father bought her a Regal, and then 2 or 3 weeks later, she was like, "Oh, I want that Super Sport." It was some limited edition Chevy. Must have been in the days before GPS, huh, Linda? gets pretty bad when the funeral director misses the entrance to the cemetery. Oops! Well, have to turn around. Uh-oh. Linda, I had one almost as good. When I worked for the limousine service, I used to do a lot of funeral escorts. And the funeral director gave me directions to the cemetery. So I do my normal thing, you know. I've got a car, looks like a police car. I'm blocking intersections so that the funeral procession can come through. I get to the cemetery, I block traffic so that the procession can pull in, only to find out we were at the wrong cemetery. The funeral director forgot what cemetery he was going to. We pulled into the cemetery, and you know, the cemetery has an escort to take you back to the graves. And the cemetery escort said, "We don't have you listed today." "What grave?" "No." And then the funeral director went, "Oh, it's not the cemetery." "All right, run." "I am Mr. Ed." That's it. Yep. At least I got the first part right. It was pretty neat. You know, back in the day, before all this animation, how they got the horse to move its mouth. That was the neat thing. How they got, like when he was talking on the phone, or I always wondered if they had like fishing line on his mouth or something. Because now today with all the animation, they could make it, you know. That's like last night. I saw a commercial done in AI. You knew the people in the commercial weren't real. Now, at first they looked real. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. I could see it the first time, but he did it the second time? I don't think I'd be using him anymore. Unless he was like the only one in town. I still remember back in the day when funeral homes were in furniture stores. They didn't have a separate, like today. You got laid out in a furniture store. Oh, God, I remember. Yeah, Francis the Talking. Oh, my God. Does that bring back memories? Holy shit. You didn't know that, Kathy? Back in the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, even in shit, I remember seeing them, so it had to be well into the 60s. They the funeral home and the furniture store were all in one. So you could bury Uncle Charlie and buy a couch. There were several of them. I remember going down Lorraine Avenue towards my grandparents' house. And you would see like Tom's Furniture and Funeral Service. And they had a room off of the furniture store that they held funeral services in. And every furniture store was a funeral home. Well, that was a big Irish thing. Although it wasn't just strictly Irish, but yeah, my great grandfather was laid out at home. I remember seeing pictures. I was not even around then. Yeah, they moved all the furniture around in the living room, and boom, there was the casket right in the living room. Yeah, kind of a scary thought, especially for a young kid. That had to really scar his memory. Wake up in the morning and there's Grandpa laying in the living room in a box. A couple of blocks from my grandparents' house. Now we're talking when I was 5, 6 years old. There was a couple of families of gypsies, and man, when there was a funeral, oh, you could hear it throughout the whole neighborhood. Because I remember my grandfather would tell me, you're not allowed to walk over in that part of the neighborhood. Stay away from them. There were about 8, 10 houses of gypsies. Yeah, it was interesting the different things that were done back in the day. In a way, kind of thank God for funeral homes now. I don't even know if you could do that anymore. I think there's all kinds of health codes now. I don't think you could have a funeral home at home. I know just seeing the pictures of my great grandfather in their living room kind of left a lasting memory with me. As I said to my grandfather, "They really did that?" He goes, "Well, where do you think I get the picture from?" "Oh, really? I didn't know they had a big gypsy population out in Bedford." Or, but you got to remember, they weren't really welcome too many places. So maybe Bedford Cemetery said, "Oh, okay, we'll give you an area." Because my grandfather said the one time the one funeral director that was in the area that let them use the funeral home, they stole the lamps and the throw rugs, and yeah, the poor funeral director come in, he goes, "Where's that lamp that was in the corner?" Then next thing you know, it's like, "Where's the throw rug from the ladies' bathroom?" They'd steal the place blind. So there weren't too many funeral directors that put up with them. Not to mention, like my grandfather used to say, when they would go through the West Side Market, they'd steal as much as they could get their hands on. One of them would distract the vendor, and then the other one would be loading up with cabbages and carrots, and then take off. Serbian gypsies? Wow. Yeah, that wouldn't be a thing that you would brag about to the neighbors. Yeah, I could understand that. I can't remember where these gypsies were from that was in my grandfather's neighborhood. I'm drawing a blank. All I know is they used to get thrown out of the West Side Market on a regular basis for stealing. Because I remember one of the guys, he sold watches. You know, it was like you saw on TV. He pulled up his coat sleeve and he had 12 watches on his arm. Probably watches that they stole from people going through the market. Those were the days. Yeah, I was quite happy to find Sky King on YouTube today. Irish lace? I've never heard that term. Don't touch that. That's Irish lace up there. Leave it. I never got to see any of the gypsies' houses. I could almost imagine. Although I think I got a few cobwebs I have to clean out in my bedroom corner. I've been kind of laxed on some of my household duties lately. Although, for Christ's sake, this morning I woke up to not one, but two SpongeBob SquarePants cat toys in my bed. I was like, geez. I forgot to bring one in. They crackle. And they got feathers coming out of the SpongeBob's head, got feathers coming out of it. But they crackle. I don't know what the fascination is. He don't mess with any of the cat toys except except SpongePants SquareBob. You know, 90% of the cat toys are, they got catnip in them and fuzz. These things crackle. They're irritating as hell. And I don't know what his thing is with SpongePants SquareBobs. So no big picnics today? No cookouts? No barbecued ribs? There weren't any around here. Because when I went up to Circle K, I kind of drove through the neighborhood and I didn't see no big cookouts. Although, Christ, who the hell's going to sit outside in a cookout when it's 62 degrees? Yeah, rain, huh? Well, that kind of puts a damper on things. Oh, I forgot to check to see who won the Indianapolis 500 today. Gee, I watched the Wienermobile race and I forgot to tune in today to the Indy race. I liked it when Okay, I just went brain dead. Oh, what the hell was her name? Danica Patrick was running IndyCar. She couldn't drive NASCAR for shit. But man, she could wheel a goddamn IndyCar at 200 miles an hour. Of course, Indy is, I'll use the term, a gentleman's race. But I just could never understand why she couldn't drive in NASCAR. She never did well. Oh, gee. Yeah, when is the Preakness? My horse is running. I'm going to bet. Journalism is running. I hope I didn't miss it. No, it would have been in the news. But yeah, Grumpy's gonna take a chance on journalism. Oh boy. Are all your animals like under the bed, Linda? Oh, I couldn't have missed the Preakness. No, wasn't that the fastest 2 minutes in horse racing, Churchill Downs? Yeah, I've been seeing in the weather. Yeah. They've been getting some nasty shit. I wonder, is that something like this time of the year down there? But I know, man, it's all you see when you watch the national forecast. All kinds of bullshit in that area. No, May 17th, that was the Kentucky Derby. The Preakness is going to be. What? I missed the Preakness? How the hell did I do that? Damn it. And he won. Shit. I was going to bet, too. Because there were good odds on that race. Damn it. How the hell did I... Sucks to get old. It sucks to get old. I mean, when he finished second in the Kentucky Derby, I made some good money. Well, I didn't bet big. I made $52.58. And I was going to take and bet the whole thing on the Preakness, and I'll have to see what the odds are at the Belmont. Whether I want to take a chance. Man, journalism, he's a good horse. When he is at full gallop, he's got a nice stride to him. I'll have to see what the odds are for Belmont. I've never bet Saratoga. But are they going to run journalism in the Saratoga? They might not. It'll be interesting to see. That's one track I've never followed. But I'll have to see what the odds are at Belmont. Well, if the odds are 9 to 5 the morning of the race, then I'll bet. We'll have to see how he does in training. See what kind of time he puts down. Not to mention what placement he gets in the gate, too. Well, like I said, Linda, back in the day, my uncle trained the trotters. That is an interesting thing to watch. Yeah, well, my big boy doesn't like thunderstorms either. He'll be under the bed if we ever get a thunderstorm here. That's the only thing he's really terrified of. And if we've got one coming, I know before it's even here. Because he'll be under the bed. Because animals have that sixth sense about them. Yeah, I used to love to watch my uncle train the trotters. That's an interesting race to watch. Because when they come up side by side, they try to get the other horse to break stride. And if the other horse breaks stride, it's disqualified. Well, Linda, if the storm hits before we're over, take off. Take care of the fur babies. Oh, you were betting against me, huh? They're both good horses. But see what ruined it for journalism in the Kentucky Derby, journalism don't like mud. Where sovereignty is a mudder. Journalism don't like mud, and the track had mud. Now he did finish second, but that's what surprised me, even a second finish, because he don't like running in the mud. If it gets nasty, Linda, just head out. Take care of the fuzzballs. Hey, Ron, my friend in Arizona sent me a video of the frickin' dust storm. I gotta ask her what part of Arizona she's in, because she was sitting in her backyard and you could see the mountains in the back and you could see all the frickin' dust. She says it figures every time she washes her van, they get a dust storm. I asked her, I said, "Don't you think maybe you're causing it by washing your van?" Not to mention wasting water. Well, that's an interesting name. Haboobs? Never heard of haboobs. Although nowadays there's more goddamn boutique dog breeds. Labradoodles and I'm trying to think some of the other weird ones I've heard. How do you like that metal roof, Linda? Hey, Dr. Bob's here. Happy Memorial Day. There's a guy down the street from me that just had one of those metal roofs put on his house. It looks kind of interesting. Oh, she gets that hyper that you got to give her Benadryl? Really? Wow. My cat don't get that hyper. He just cowers under the bed. I lift the bedspread up, I look underneath him, and he's like, help me! And man, he won't come out. I've tried dragging him out from underneath there. He's like, digs his nails in the carpet. I ain't going nowhere. Yeah, I've seen advertisements for the metal roofs. And the guy right down the end of my street just had one done. It looks really cool. I'm going to have to ask him what he paid for it. It really stands out, too. You can tell it's the only house in the neighborhood with a metal roof on it. But it changes the whole appearance of the house. You see, they're just hitting the area. There's a couple of houses around here that have them. And like I say, the guy down the street just had his done. I'll tell you what, I would go with that over shingles any day. It lasts longer. The house that my aunt and uncle had that, what do they call it, terracotta roof. It looks like sewer pipe. I was just going to say, his is blue. And he's painting all the trim now to match. So far, it's looking cool. Yeah, I would think definitely that's a way better roof. It's going to last longer than shingles, and when you get a big wind, it ain't going to be blowing the roof off. The commercial I saw the other night, they even had the metal, it looks like shingles. They were like, well, this is a metal roof, and this is a metal roof, and even this is a metal roof. Well, like I say, if it gets nasty, just it's understandable. Oh, I forgot. Yeah, you had good old Katrina go through there. man, that was there's still areas that haven't recovered. That's why I say if I was going to do a roof, I would do metal in a heartbeat. Because yeah, Bob, you could definitely. Yeah, we have a couple of churches here where the roofs are copper. I was like, geez, copper roof, copper gutters, copper downspouts. Talk about a waste of parishioners' money. Although a couple of years ago somebody stole all the downspouts. Probably took them right to the scrapyard. Yeah, but you got to take into consideration how much longer that roof is going to last over shingles. Yeah, it's a big investment in the beginning, but I would say a metal roof is going to last at least twice the life of a shingle roof, if not longer. Yeah, I'm waiting for my neighbor down the street to be outside. I'm going to talk to him about his new roof. Yeah, you figure basically like a shingle roof, what, 20 years roughly? A metal roof, you're going to go at least 35, if not more. Especially if it was installed, properly and they put enough screws in it and everything. Yeah, I would go with one in a heartbeat. I really would. But I don't own the house, so I don't have to worry about it. Not my worry. I just call Mr. Landlord. Hello? What do you want? Wrong number. Oh man, my arm is driving me crazy today. That cutback in my medication. Oh, me and my doctor are going to have a long talk tomorrow. I'm like one of his last appointments tomorrow. He'll come bebopping in the door like he always does. How you doing? I'm going to tell him fucking rotten. Let's talk. I wonder if they had a parade today. They usually have a parade up at Cam's Corners. I didn't hear anything about it. I usually go up just to see all the old vehicles. All the cars from my day. Although today, holy shit, I saw a 55 Chevy that looked like it just rolled out of the showroom. Man, was that thing gorgeous. The guy was at Circle K getting gas. Gorgeous red and white, hardtop, two-door. Well, I was going to say, wouldn't you have to like double insulate your attic? Thicken the insulation up in the attic? But you know, the longevity of that roof kind of offsets the kind of side effects that you have. I would still prefer that over shingles any day. Did you get any FEMA help towards that? Although I don't know how that FEMA money works. Do they just hand it to you, or is it like a loan? If it's a loan, it sucks. Because I know for some of the areas that got hit, Trump finally okayed the FEMA money. Not being in one of those areas, I don't know how FEMA works. I just wonder what kind of red tape you have with FEMA. Oh. Anybody gardening this year? Anybody planting vegetables? I've been considering maybe getting a couple of tomato plants. Although I don't think I'm ever going to get one like I had. Interesting, Linda. I didn't know that. Oh, those are neat. I had one once. I ended up killing it. I used to catch flies and then take it tweezers and drop the fly in and Well, aren't you the Martha Stewart gardener? Tomatoes and green peppers, cucumbers, and dill. You know, I read an article recently, and they say in order to keep like raccoons and possums out of your garden to plant cucumbers because they don't like the smell of cucumber plants. I don't know how true it is, but that's what they said. Yeah, basically it's the start of the growing season. Yeah, every now and then the place where I get my tomato plants from, they'll have Venus flytraps. Oh, I never, as much as I like okra, I've never grown it. When I see it in the store, I buy it, but I've never tried growing it. I grew Brussels sprouts one year, and a couple of I was looking at the plants, going, well, should I pick them? No, I'll let them go a couple of days. And then a goddamn raccoon ate all my fucking Brussels sprouts. I come out and there was nothing but stems. Everything was gone. Yeah, they say raccoons hate cucumbers. They hate the smell of the plants. So they tell you basically in your garden to plant one cucumber on each corner. I don't know. I've never seen a raccoon carrying a cucumber home. So I think I'm going to grow me herbs this year. I've never done a herb garden. I'll do me a small patch and maybe take a chance on a couple of tomatoes. Maybe I could get another one of those yellow pear tomatoes to go bonkers. Oh, no FEMA money. Okay. God, house insurance got to be expensive in that area. I'd hate to think what the cost is. What do you think, Kathy? Should I buy maybe 6 of those yellow pear tomato plants and see if I can get another one to go berserk? That's another thing I've never grown, fennel. I like fennel. I've never grown it. Yeah, their plants are just coming in. Maybe I will. I'll get a 6-pack or maybe a 4-pack. I think they come in 4-packs. And see if I can get another one to go crazy. Jack and the Beanstalk tomato plant. The women at that store are still amazed because I printed a picture and I gave it to them because that's the only place I get my plants from. So I says, here, you can display this and say, here's one of our tomato plants. Jack and the Beanstalk. I'm glad I filmed that. I am so glad. I wasn't going to do it. And I pulled out my good old GoPro and I was like, oh, I'm going to video this. And I'm glad I did. Because anybody that don't believe me, I tell them, just go to my YouTube and look for it. You'll see it. The Jack and the Beanstalk yellow pear tomato plant. And no fertilizer, Kathy. No fertilizer. I don't put Miracle, I put nothing. All I did was before I put in the ground, I put in some composted cow manure. Or horse manure. Somebody's manure. I turned all the ground over, and then I put the composted manure, turned the ground over again, and then planted. And that was it. All I did was water that bastard. And it kept growing and growing and growing and growing and growing. Got a vulture in my throat. Yeah, you found the video, didn't you, Kat? Yeah, you found it. I thought it got wiped. And then I think you told me it was still there because I haven't looked. If you ever want to see a crazy tomato plant, Linda, go in my early videos and you'll see my Jack and the Beanstalk tomato plant that grew up over the gutter and up the roof. Oh, good. I just couldn't believe that son of a bitch kept growing and growing and growing and growing. I'm watching it go up the side of the house going, Jesus. What was that, Linda? A class project, grow plants to sell? Yeah, where I get my plants from, they won't divulge where they come from. I don't know why. But when I took that picture in, they couldn't believe it. And I told them, no fertilizer. I said, that plant just went crazy. The only thing that stopped it was the roof got too hot, and it was burning the fresh growth. Otherwise, that son of a bitch probably would have gone up one side of the roof and down the other. Oh, really? Do they have a horticulture course? That they have a greenhouse? That's kind of neat. Kind of encourages the students how to learn where their food comes from. Well, that's kind of cool. Yeah, I bet you the kids are really proud when them plants come up for sale. We grew them from a little itty bitty seed. Yeah, I have right the spot. I'm just thinking about it. This house hasn't really had anything planted around it for years. So I would tend to think I probably might have some good soil, and I know right the one spot. That would be neat to have another plant like that. I think that thing was just a freak of nature. Because nobody has ever seen a tomato plant grow like that goofy thing. Ah. All right, Grumpy. Damn it. Damn it, damn it, damn it. I'm swirling my coffee cup and I spill coffee all over me. That figures. Clean jeans. I just put these on. Dumbass. That'll teach me to swirl a goddamn coffee cup. Idiot. I get it on my shirt too. Oh, for God's sake. Clean shirt, clean jeans. Just put them on. Not paying attention to what I'm doing, swirling in a cup. Oh boy, MRAs. I heard those really aren't too tasty. Although I guess if you're hungry. Yeah, I've heard more complaints about MREs. Meals ready to eat. Eat right out of the package. Although I think it was Stone Vet was saying, "Hey Sherry, how are ya?" I think Stone Vet was saying that the spaghetti was the best or something. I can't remember. Or the stroganoff. He said the rest of them sucked. Although if you're hungry, you'd eat the cardboard box it came in. How you doing, Sherry? You hanging in there, dear? I just spilled coffee all over myself. I was going to say, if you're hungry, any port in a storm, did the boxes have a selection? Although I don't know what kind of selection you have. I just remember Josh saying something about either the spaghetti or. I find it hard for him to compliment MRE spaghetti, though. Well, Sherry, like they say, it's always darkest before the dawn. Yeah, it's starting to sink in now. But hang in there. It'll get better. Not fast, but it will get better because right now the shock is over with and it's starting to really sink in. As long as you have family around you, and it's easy to say, but try not to dwell on it. Look at the happier times. Well, that's what Hippie said. He said that instant coffee was like drinking tar. You used to be able to order them. Some guy was selling them on eBay. I remember a couple years ago. I was tempted to try them, but I didn't want to waste my money. I would like to try one of each. Although I've never heard anybody compliment them. Anybody that any veteran that I know has never said, "Boy, I wish I had a pantry full of MREs right now." But when you're hungry, especially, like when the guys were over in Iran, Iraq, or wherever, they're out eating sand all day, cooking their asses off in 100-degree temperatures. Any food is good. So did anybody do a cookout, Sherry, or no? Too cold? Anybody, anybody take you out to dinner for Memorial Day? You know, it's interesting. Although I heard the stories, there was one thing my father would not let in the house, and that was spam. Because he said when he was over in France during the war, that was basically all they shipped in was spam. And I'll never forget the one day, because I love it, especially the Tabasco spam. I was probably, I don't know, 12, 13 years old, and I come home with a can of spam. I was going to slice it and saute it and make sandwiches. I put the can on the kitchen table, and I don't know what the hell, I got distracted or something. And I come out and the can was gone. So I asked my father, I said, did you see my spam on the table? He says, yeah, it's out in the garbage outside. I don't want that shit in my house. I was like, well, what's the big deal? He says, try eating it 7 days a week, 3 times a day. You'll develop a dislike for spam. I've been eating it ever since, and I haven't developed a dislike for it. Although you can't find all the varieties anymore. They used to have spam and cheese, Tabasco spam, jalapeno spam. Now, I didn't like the turkey or the chicken spam, but you can't, of course, who really eats it? Me? I love it. That's right, bacon spam. There were like 10 or 15 varieties of spam. Now, you can order online from, what is it, Hormel, who makes spam, I think. And they have every flavor. But the stores don't carry it. I used to love to get the spam and cheese, and then I would get a thing of crackers and eat it on crackers. Can't find it. I'm going to have to see if you can. I wouldn't want to order a case of each, but if you could split it up, like 4 of this and 4 of that, and I love the Tabasco flavored spam. Oh, it's out of this world. And the bacon spam. Mm-mm-mm. Because I would get a can and I would take and I would cube it up and throw it in a salad. God, you can eat it out of the can. You can eat it, like you say, I would saute it, put on a sandwich, have spam and eggs. Nothing better in the morning than spam and eggs. Oh, the Kelly instead of Kathy. Yeah, I caught that. I figured it was a finger fault. I knew what she meant. I knew who she was talking about. Well, I'll tell you what. If I'm texting something, I hate fucking autocorrect. Oh my god. I'll be putting something in and it'll autocorrect it to something completely different. That's not what I wanted. Same thing if I'm sending an email. Goddamn AOL will autocorrect me. That's not what I was typing. I have to go in my settings and shut it off. Well, like I say, we knew who you're talking about. Like Kathy said, she's been called worse. Oh yeah, especially when it auto corrects to something kind of questionable. I'm gonna have to look in my phone and see if I can turn autocorrect off. I know I can do it with AOL. I don't know why I haven't. Really pisses me off sometimes. Okay, let's see. Going over the notes to see if I got everything. Yeah, we got that. We got that. And we got that. Yes. Got everything that we were talking about. I wish I could get rid of the goddamn. Well, if I got YouTube Premium, man, it's starting to irritate me watching TV at night and 10,000 frickin' ads. And if I see one more from Martha Stewart Skechers, but I'm too cheap to get YouTube Premium. I ain't paying for nothing. And I don't know how people can watch local TV. They just run commercials back to back to back. God, I was watching a program the other night. They ran 3 commercials in a row. And watching local TV, you can't skip them like you can on YouTube. You no sooner get, the plot thickens. 3 commercials. By the time you get back to the show, you forget what the plot was. I've been watching. Oh, what the hell's that crime program? God, it's a real good crime program, too. It's so good I can't think of the name. I'll have to pay closer attention to. Maybe I'll click it on tonight, see what, because it's on every night. That's another thing goofy with this antenna that brings in multiple. I have like channel 3 and then 3-3, 3-5, 3-7. Yeah, goddamn Martha's making enough money. Yeah, because this crime program, it's goofy. I can either watch Channel 3 or 3-3. Crazy. If the weather warms up a little bit, I'm going to put that antenna outside. I'm going to mount it up on the corner of the house. Because I'm having a problem getting channel 8. And I don't know why. I can get 3 clear as can be. I can get 5 clear as can be. Channel 8 comes and goes, comes and goes, comes and goes. And 19, forget it. Well, peoples, I think it's about that time. It's been a fun Memorial Day. And I thank everybody for coming. We ran the variety again tonight. That's what makes it neat. We talk about everything. And with that, it's that time. We know where, right here. Oh, don't get me started on Snoop Dogg. With that, everybody have a wonderful rest of your evening. Linda, I hope it don't storm too bad. And we will meet again tomorrow night.